When Ava walked out of Ethan Reed's penthouse 2 years ago, his last words sliced deeper than he ever knew. "Don't expect anything from me." She didn't. She packed her silent heartbreak, her unborn baby, and vanished from New York overnight. Now, Ethan is the CEO everyone fears, cold, untouchable, and always in control. Until one afternoon, in a small-town grocery store miles away from the life he once owned, he sees a little girl with his storm-gray eyes calling Ava mommy. In that instant, power shifts. The man who once felt nothing suddenly feels everything, and he wants back the family he never knew he lost. Ethan Reed wasn't born cruel. He simply believed that emotions were liabilities. Running Reed Enterprises had taught him that softness was a threat, mistakes were weaknesses, and attachments were dangerous. So when Ava Miller walked into his world as his assistant, bright, warm, and painfully honest, she became the one thing he couldn't control, which meant she was the one thing he pushed away. Their relationship wasn't supposed to happen. A late night at the office, a shared takeout dinner, an unspoken pull. And then he kissed her like she was the first breath he'd taken in years. The weeks that followed were soft, stolen, and nothing like the life he lived, and that terrified him. The more he cared, the colder he became. Until the night she finally asked, "What are we, Ethan?" He remembered the fear tightening his chest. He remembered pushing her away so hard his own voice felt foreign. "Don't expect anything from me," he snapped. "I don't do love. I don't do complications." She didn't argue. She just stepped back, eyes glossy, hands trembling, heartbreaking in real time. She left his penthouse quietly that night, without slamming a door or raising her voice. No drama, no begging, no questions, just the soft, heavy silence he never forgot. 3 weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant. Ava didn't try to tell him. What was the point? The man had already made it crystal clear: no expectations, no attachments, no her. And a child was the biggest expectation of all. So she quit the job, disappeared from New York, changed her number, moved to a small Oregon town where no one knew her past or the man she had loved too much. She built a life on a budget, decorated a tiny rented home with thrift store finds, worked double shifts, and brought her daughter, little Hazel Reed Miller, into the world with the fiercest love she'd ever known. Hazel had Ethan's eyes, gray, sharp, stormy. Every time Ava looked into them, she felt a pang of what ifs, but she never regretted keeping her daughter. Hazel was her peace, her purpose, her second chance at a life that didn't need a cold-hearted CEO. 2 years passed. Hazel learned to walk, then run, then talk, mostly about strawberries, dogs, and the moon. Ava learned to be mother and father. She healed, slowly, but she healed. Until one quiet Saturday morning, at a local grocery store, while Hazel sat in the cart, babbling about cereal, a voice Ava hadn't heard in 2 years cut through the air like a stone thrown into still water. Ava. Her hands froze on the shopping cart. No, it couldn't be. He was supposed to be in New York. Untouchable, unreachable. A chapter firmly closed. She turned, and there he was, Ethan Reed. Looking less like the polished CEO she remembered, and more like a man who hadn't slept properly in months. Dark circles, broad shoulders tense. Breath caught, but his eyes, those unmistakable gray eyes, weren't cold. They were shocked, confused, and hurting. Because Hazel, sitting in the cart with a tiny pink bow on her head, looked up at him with the exact same eyes. "Mommy," the little girl said as she reached toward Ava's arm. Ethan's jaw trembled. Man who never shook, never cracked. Suddenly, bending under a truth he never expected. A child, his child. The world stopped around them. A jar slipped from someone's hand in the next aisle. A toddler cried in the distance. A cashier scanned items, one beep at a time, but none of it existed to Ethan. Only the little girl staring straight at him, like she already recognized a part of herself. "Is she?" he managed, voice breaking, words failing. Ava's throat tightened. This wasn't how he was supposed to find out. This wasn't part of her plan. This wasn't supposed to happen at all. She swallowed hard, fighting the tremble in her chest. "Yes," she whispered, "she's yours." And the man who once told her to expect nothing looked like the one who suddenly wanted everything. Ethan Reed had negotiated billion-dollar mergers without blinking. He had crushed competitors, controlled boardrooms, survived scandals, and walked away from everything with his jaw high and his emotions sealed tight. But nothing prepared him for the sight of a tiny girl clutching a cereal box with his eyes staring back at him. Hazel blinked at him with the innocent curiosity only toddlers could carry. Ethan stared back like a man watching his entire world rearrange itself molecule by molecule. Ava tightened her grip on the cart. I didn't want this to happen in a grocery store, she whispered. You didn't want it to happen at all, Ethan said. Voice raw. Ava didn't deny it. Hazel babbled something about wanting the cereal with the cartoon bear, breaking the tension for a heartbeat. But Ethan didn't look away from her. He stepped closer, slow, careful, as if afraid she'd vanish if he moved too fast. How old is she? 21 months. His breath caught. I missed everything. Ava looked down. You said you didn't want any expectations. Ethan winced like she had slapped him. Ava, that was before. Before what? She cut in. Before you realized the consequences. He closed his eyes. Before I realized what I was losing. Silence stretched between them, thick, heavy. Heartbreak-colored. Ava lifted Hazel from the cart. We should go. But Hazel twisted in her arms, pointing at Ethan. Who's that? Mommy. Ava froze. Ethan's heart splintered. He lowered himself to Hazel's height slowly, carefully, like a man approaching something fragile. I'm someone who should have been here for you. Hazel blinked, tilted her head, then offered him her cereal box like a peace treaty. Ethan almost laughed. Almost cried. Ava watched, torn between protectiveness and a pain she thought she had buried. Can we talk? Ethan asked softly, eyes still on Hazel. Please, Ava hesitated, then nodded. Outside. The parking lot truth, the Oregon air was cool when they stepped outside. Cars passed, carts rattled, wind brushed against Ava's hair. Hazel tugged on her shirt, then reached toward Ethan again, babbling. Ethan swallowed hard. She wants me to hold her. Ava's voice softened despite herself. She wants to hold everything. Don't overthink it. But Hazel reached again, more insistently this time. Ava exhaled and, cautiously, placed Hazel in Ethan's arms. The moment she settled against him, something in him shattered open. His hands shook, his breath trembled, his composure, his last defense, crumbled. He held Hazel like she was both priceless and breakable. Hi, he whispered, voice cracking. I'm sorry I wasn't here. Hazel tapped his cheek with her tiny hand. Hi. Ethan laughed through a tear. He didn't have time to hide. Ava turned away quickly, because seeing the man who once said he couldn't love now, holding their child like she was oxygen, hurt in too many ways. After a long moment, Ethan looked at Ava. Why didn't you tell me? You made yourself very clear. Ava, you said you didn't do love. You didn't do complications. A baby is both. I wasn't going to beg for space in your life. Ethan looked gutted. Ava, I was wrong. You were cruel. She whispered. There's a difference. Hazel reached for her mother, and Ava took her back gently. Ethan's arms fell to his sides. Empty. Again, the loss stabbed deeper than anything he'd ever felt. Let me fix this, he said. You can't fix 2 years, but I can try to fix the ones ahead. The past she didn't Ethan ran a trembling hand through his hair. There are things you don't know. About that night. Ava folded her arms. I don't need your excuses. They're not excuses, they're reasons. She stared at him long, hard, guarded. Fine, say it. He exhaled, the truth scraping its way out. My father had a heart attack that morning. My board was trying to push me out. Reporters were circling my building like vultures. And then you asked me what we were, and you pushed me away. I panicked, he said, voice cracking. You weren't a complication, Ava. You were the only thing that felt real in my entire life, and I didn't know how to handle something real. Ava felt her throat tighten despite herself. Ethan continued. When you left, everything fell apart. I tried to find you. Her breath caught. What? I didn't know where you went. You changed numbers. No one at HR had your address. I hired people discreetly. Nothing. You looked for me. She whispered, for months. Silence, cold and sharp. Hazel tugged Ava's shirt. Mommy, I want juice. Ava kissed her forehead. I know, sweet girl. When she looked back at Ethan, something in her resolve had cracked. You don't get to walk in after 2 years and claim her, she said softly. You missed the first step. Her first word. The nights, she cried. The mornings, she hugged me. Ethan's voice broke. I know. And I will regret it for the rest of my life. Regret isn't enough. Then tell me what is, he pleaded. Tell me how to earn a place. Any place. I'll take scraps if that's all you can give. Ava's breath hitched. The Ethan she knew, cold, controlled, untouchable, would never beg. But this Ethan, he looked like a man drowning without his child's hand to pull him up. Start small, Ava finally said. Prove you're here to stay. Ethan nodded instantly. I will. Every day. Whatever it takes. Hazel giggled at a passing dog, completely oblivious to the storm her existence had created. Ava held her daughter close. Ethan watched with an ache he knew would never fade. Where do we go from here? He whispered. Ava looked at him, really looked tanned for the first time. She didn't see the CEO who broke her, she saw the father Hazel never had. I don't know, she breathed. But this time, you don't get to run. Ethan stepped closer, voice low and certain. I'm not running. Not anymore. Ethan didn't leave the town for the next 3 days. He didn't call his assistant, didn't join the emergency board meeting, didn't check his email. For the first time since he became CEO, the world spun without him, and he didn't care. Every morning, he showed up at the small rental house Ava lived in, never unannounced, always texting first, always asking what Hazel needed, always arriving early, staying late, and leaving the moment Hazel rubbed her eyes, and Ava whispered that it was bedtime. The neighbors talked. Of course. A man with a Manhattan suit and a billion-dollar posture didn't blend well in a quiet Oregon street. But Hazel didn't care about the world's whispers. She cared about the way Ethan lifted her high in the air. She cared about how he let her put stickers on his expensive watch. She cared about how he read her the same picture book 5 times in a row without complaining. Ava watched it all with a cautious heart. On the 4th afternoon, Hazel tugged at Ava's sleeve. Mommy, Ethan Kuman today. Ava inhaled, startled by the softness of the question. Yes, baby, he's coming. Hazel grinned, then ran to the window just in time to see his black SUV pull up. Ethan stepped out, holding a tiny pink backpack he had bought for Hazel. He knocked on the door, gently. Another thing Ava noticed. He used to push through her life like he owned every room he entered. Now he waited, always waited. Hazel squealed and ran to him. Ethan crouched and lifted her, laughing when she pressed both hands to his cheeks. Ava stood in the doorway, watching the moment with emotions too tangled to name. Ethan glanced up at her. Is this okay? Ava nodded. Yeah, it's okay. They went to the park. Hazel ran between them, making them follow her across the grass, demanding their attention, their laughter, their footsteps. Ethan knelt with her to pick dandelions. Ava watched from a bench, arms folded, trying not to let her heart slip into old patterns. Ethan carried Hazel back when she got tired, her little head resting on his shoulder, her thumb in her mouth. When she finally dozed off, Ethan sat beside Ava carefully, leaving space between them. She's perfect, he whispered. She's a handful. She gets that from you, he said with the softest smile she had ever seen on him. Ava swallowed, and the air between them thickened. How long are you staying? She asked. He didn't hesitate. As long as Hazel needs. As long as you'll let me. You have a company in New York. I have a daughter in Oregon. The words hit her harder than she expected. He looked away, eyes fixed on Hazel's sleeping face. Ava, I'm sorry every day I wasn't here. I can't change it, but I'll spend the rest of my life showing up. Ava didn't reply. She couldn't. Her throat closed, her heart pulled in 2 directions, past hurt and present hope. That night, when he walked them to the door, Hazel woke just enough to lean from Ava's arms toward him. Bye-bye, Ethan, she mumbled, reaching for his tie. He kissed her forehead, hesitant, gentle. Bye, Hazel. And then she did something no one expected. She pressed her small hand to his cheek and murmured, "Love you." Ethan froze. Ava froze. The world seemed to stop. Hazel dropped her head on Ava's shoulder and fell asleep again, unaware of the earthquake she had caused. Ethan's voice cracked. She said, I know. Ava whispered, eyes stinging. She doesn't understand the words yet. She understands enough, he said softly, enough to feel safe with me, and that means everything. Ava shifted Hazel carefully. You should go. It's late. He nodded. Can I see her tomorrow? Ava hesitated, but only for a moment. Yes. Ethan exhaled like he had been holding his breath for 2 years. He turned to leave, then stopped. Ava, she looked at him. I'm not asking for forgiveness today, he said. I'm asking for a chance to earn tomorrow, and the next day, and every day after. Ava's chest tightened. You hurt me, Ethan, I know. And you hurt yourself, she added quietly. His jaw flexed. More than you know. Ava looked down at Hazel, then back at him. People don't change overnight. No, he agreed. But I'm not asking for overnight. I'm asking for honesty, patience, and time. He paused, voice softening. I want to know her. I want to be there. And I want to make things right with you, however long it takes. Ava didn't answer, not with words, but she didn't close the door on him either, and that was enough. Ethan didn't return to New York for 3 more days. When he finally did, He walked into a boardroom full of men ready to lecture him about responsibility. He cut them off. "I have responsibilities," he said calmly, "and the most important one is 2 years old." They stared, stunned. Ethan didn't care. He changed his schedule. He assigned more power to his second-in-command. He moved meetings. He cleared weekends. He booked flights to Oregon every week. Hazel greeted him each time like he was the sun coming up. Ava greeted him like she didn't know how to feel hopeful, cautious, bruised, mending. And Ethan, he greeted them like a man finally stepping into the life he should have chosen all along. He read to Hazel. He walked with Ava. He cooked dinner badly, burning half of it. He learned how to braid Hazel's hair also badly. He apologized again and again, not with words but with consistency. Weeks passed. Trust rebuilt not quickly, but steadily. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Oregon trees, Hazel ran between them, laughing in that unfiltered, pure way toddlers do. Ava glanced at Ethan. Ethan glanced back. No words were spoken, but something quiet and real settled between them. Something new, something healing, something earned slowly, not taken. Hazel tripped, falling into the grass. Both of them rushed to her at the same time. Ethan lifted her. Ava dusted her off. Hazel giggled, wrapping one arm around each of their necks. "Family hug," she declared. Ava froze. Ethan froze. Hazel tugged harder. "Hug." And so they did. Ava on one side, Ethan on the other. Hazel squeezed between them, tiny arms tight around their shoulders. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel like a man trying to earn a place. He felt like a man who finally found home. Ava looked at him over Hazel's head, not forgiving everything yet, not forgetting the past, but allowing the future. Ethan whispered, so quietly only she could hear, "You can expect everything from me now." Ava didn't speak. She didn't need to. She simply held Hazel tighter and didn't pull away from him, not this time. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us bring more emotional, heart-melting stories your way. Comment below what part hit you the hardest and stay tuned for the next unforgettable chapter.